Okay, so this is my third video of today. I don't know, I just feel like I should get some videos out there because I've just kind of sat around and not done anything. I should just say some things that I think because I think what I think is important. Anyways, I just watched well, at least I watched an hour of the first part of the Atlas Shrugged movie. And yeah, I mean, when I was in high school, I read, my senior year, I think, either my senior or my junior, or between there. It took a while to read the book for me. I considered it pretty heavily as I was reading it. Anyway, and when I first heard, like when I was in high school, when I first heard they were thinking about making an Atlas Shrugged movie, I was like, no, that is a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. And the reason is because you have to write an entirely different story. It's not made for film. It's not. It's not made for film. It is a very conceptual piece. The language barrier. The language barrier, for one thing. It's a big deal. Rand was writing in a style that works in her book. I mean, it's not the best. It's fine. But it works in her book. But once you start saying the dialogue out loud, I mean, that was the biggest problem. That was probably the biggest problem. The directing was so sloppy, slow, just thrown together. Just like, this is supposed to be really, really important, but it's not. It's not important. None of the acting, which, no offense to any of you guys that were, if you guys watched my lowly video, I don't think it's your fault that your acting was done poorly. I definitely get the feel that this was thrown together so fast and just recklessly careening. I mean, let's take the John Galt line metaphor as our example here. The train has to be made out of solid material. You have to make every piece of the train. And then, after you've done that, you have to put it together in the right way. And then all the track pieces have to line up with each other in order for anything to work. Only after you do all the small little pieces do you finally get to a point where the train can go. You can't just throw together, like, poorly made, in the metaphor, you can't just throw together poorly made metal alkaloids and expect it to work. You have to design it around what you've got. And in the same respect, with theater, sort of the bits and pieces are what Stanislavski would refer to as beats, and the smaller parts are bits. Like when a character... Hank Reardon, who is one of my favorite characters in the book, he's got this line, and he's talking with his wife at the big party scene, and I don't remember what it was. Something like, she says, "Are you having a good time?" And he says, "I'm having the best time of my life." Blatantly sarcastic. So sarcastic. Not even trying to be sincere. Not even trying to lie. And then her line is, "You're a terrible liar, aren't you?" And it's like, well, yeah, if he were trying to lie, he's not lying. You can't have that dialogue. You can't have that dialogue if he's not lying. I mean, you really have to do it. You have to be lying. You have to, a review that I saw said it was like man versus machine, and we were supposed to, man versus robot, and we were supposed to be rooting for the robots, and I kind of have to agree with that. I mean, I don't think that that's what Atlas Shrugged does, but I think that that's what Atlas Shrugged the movie does, because the actors are just like, this is my line, and this is, it's so, all the things, all the emotions are superimposed. We're supposed to feel this way, and like, well, when they're driving the train over the bridge, it's just like mountains, trees, trumpets. It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Like, I don't care. You didn't earn it. You didn't earn that moment. It's a great moment in the book. It's so good. They play with the conflict. And, okay, yeah, you gotta establish the conflict. There has to be a chance that they're gonna roll off and it's gonna die and they're gonna break, and they're risking it all. They're risking it so hard. But you didn't do that. There was never any moment where I was worried that they weren't gonna make it across the bridge. And that's not because I read the book. It's just because it's not there. Yeah. At the very beginning of all of this, before you guys even made the film, I said it was a bad idea. I mean, maybe not to you directly, but to the Ayn Rand Institute, I sent an email. It was a rather angry email. And it was like, what are you doing? You can't do this. This is a terrible idea. And it is. I admit, maybe it's not as bad of an idea as I thought it was. I mean, there were things that, even though they didn't work in this film, I saw how they could have worked. There was an approach that could have worked if you had done the bit work and the beat work and really meant it. But you can't just throw it together and tell an audience, you are supposed to feel this way. So, that being said, anybody who's trying to, bash on Rand because of this film, it's a bad representation, I think. I mean, you might have some good reasons to... Yeah, the dialogue's there, but they don't really do a good job of showing it. So, you know... I mean, I thought one thing that worked for me was they've got the shot where there's, at the very beginning, they show them in these very elaborate houses that are really, really nice and whatever. But then at the end, she's working in, the mountains with the workers in her business suit, and she kind of looks out of place, excepting that she totally looks like she knows what she's doing, and she's there and she's working, and they have that little bit of dialogue where it's like, you look just as at home here as you do in your office. And I had to agree with that. I thought, good job, that did work. That worked pretty well. However, I don't know if it works well enough to justify the fact that you are going to immediately ostracize most of the public when you show these figures in these really nice buildings. I think you're just immediately going to get people being like, I don't like them. And it's unfortunate that society has those associations, but we do. I mean, I do. I totally support what Rand is saying, but I watched the film and I'm like, these guys are so, I don't have any reason to like them. Why do I like them? No reason. I have no reason to like them. I kind of got that the dialogue a lot of it was supposed to be sort of like this, Andy Warhol. It's supposed to be this Andy Warhol thing, where, for instance, James was talking to Dagny, and James says, you've never had a feeling in your entire life. And Dagny says, well, no, you're right, I never have. And I'm not saying I did the best job of that right there. It would take rehearsal and doing it and making sure that I got it. But basically, the whole idea of that is it's like when you watch Andy Warhol. When you watch an Andy Warhol interview, they ask him, so, do you think pop art's really actually good? And Andy would respond, no, I think it's terrible. It's like, and he's being so sarcastic. He's just, that's what he's doing. That's not what the actor was doing. She was just saying, no, I've never had a feeling in my life. Honestly. No. At the very beginning of the show, we saw that she had feelings. And I know that, but the thing is, you can't just depend on that. It has to be the moment where she says that line, she has to be thinking, no, I have feelings. I'm just not going to sit here and explain it to you. That was the point, but it didn't happen. So, yeah. You guys need to do your homework. You don't know what you're doing. I'm sorry. You need to stop making... Well, honestly, I think it was a better idea than I thought it would be. I think it could possibly work, but you don't know what you're doing. I mean, you have to have the bit work. You have to have the beat work. The number one word for you guys is sincerity. Don't feel like when you're making this movie that you have to be doing things to make people feel a certain way. That's not your job. You're not trying to make the audience, with the fanfare. It's not effective. It's not going to work. You have to make the actors honestly be those characters. And I don't know, when I started learning about acting and stuff, I thought it was, it's fishy. This sounds like some sort of thing that James Taggart would say, like being in the moment. What does that mean? And all that stuff. There is actually some credit to it. They weren't stupid. They were actually, in a lot of respects, the Hank Reardons and John Galts and Dagny Taggarts of the acting industry. And what they say has a lot of value. And you can't discredit them just because they're, they didn't, I don't think their main focus was on ethics and stuff. Now, I'm not a scholar of them in that respect. So I really, if anybody wants to point out that I'm wrong here, please do. I could be. Very could be. Very much. But regardless of that, even if they were, did dedicate some stuff to their ethical whatevers and beliefs and views, just because they disagree with you in that respect doesn't mean they didn't do their homework and their research and really have good things to say when it came to acting. So yeah, go back, do your homework, read Meisner, figure it out. Or, get someone like me who knows what he's talking about. That'd be cool. So, yeah, don't see the movie. It's a bad movie. I mean, it's okay, but it's really just a lot of people saying things they don't really feel and that they don't really believe and pretending like you're too stupid to notice. That's what it is. Which is not, at least I don't think that's what the point of the movie was. I think the point of the movie was that they were actually feeling these things and they had just thought it out more. The point of the book. If I said movie, I'm not sure. Anyway. So yeah, not such a good film, but I felt like I should say that. Seriously, if you guys need advice, yeah, I don't know. If you think that this was a good review and that I accurately pointed out what is wrong with the film, go ahead, ask me more. I'll say more. So, that's that.